What's up, everybody? We are back for Amazing Race Recap, Episode 3. Joining me tonight is the one, the only Calbert. Calbert, how you doing?
What's going on, everybody?
Excellent. Also returning to the Amazing Race Recap on Amazing Reviews, the man, Goldberg.
What up,
What's
guys?
up, Goldberg?
Glad to be back.
All right. So
I'm pissed. I missed the first two reviews. I had so much to say.
Yeah, we got a lot to catch up on. So I want to know your thoughts from drafting Derek and Claire. Why don't you kind of give us the background on that?
So, the reason well, first of all, I think if I didn't take Derek and Claire, was that a team that either one of you would have gone with, or
they were high on my list? Yeah, they were high.
I knew they'd be good, but I wasn't going to draft them.
Okay. So the reason I went with them is I'm fresh off. I don't know if either one of you didn't. Calvert, did you catch the challenge on CBS at all, or no?
No, I saw the previews for. I didn't watch an episode.
Okay, so Derek was on the challenge on CBS, and I know that he was on. I think were they on Big Brother together?
Correct.
Yes.
Yep.
I think they met on Big Brother or something.
Correct.
So I know he's. I mean, just based on experience alone, is the only reason I went with them. I mean, they've been on reality shows before. I don't know if that helps you in an Amazing Race type show, but that's pretty much the reason I picked them.
Yeah, they were both in our top 3 when we did our pre-rankings. Might even have been 2 or 1 for one of us, but
yeah,
they were very high.
Well, what? Just based on looks, or that they're young?
The reality experience.
The reality shows.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we were kind of referring to season 30 with the Machine. He ended up winning it with I can't remember his name, but
since I missed out, I got a couple questions for you guys. How far did you have Rex and T-Rex going?
I had them 12, so I was off by 1. We spent about a good what would you say, Earls, about 20 minutes bashing them in the premiere, before the premiere episode.
Yeah, we did. I think I had them maybe a little longer, 9 or 10. I didn't have them too much further.
Okay. I thought on gamesmanship alone that they'd make it at least a couple. But
yeah, they were kind of. I was a little disappointed that, especially one that really wasn't physical.
Right.
You would have thought that would have helped them. But it turned out they did better on the physical challenge.
Right.
Just general consensus, Goldberg. What did you think of the first 2 episodes? Because we're going to review the third one tonight.
I think I enjoyed the first one more than the second, if I recall correctly. I thought the premiere was a solid episode. I liked the fact that there was that he said there was no non-eliminations, because I hate not knowing, and when the blondes lucked out that season, that shit was kind of ridiculous. So I hate not knowing, but then I didn't realize that they would have like these double legs, so kind of an easy way to have a non-elimination, basically.
Yeah. Did you like the scramble?
Yeah, for like once in a while. Did you guys like it?
Well, yeah, we did for like if it's not every week, we liked it. But
right. Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Once in a while, I wouldn't want it that way every week.
Right. Yeah, then we're pretty much
tried something.
Yep.
So that's the first time they've ever done that?
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, or as far as I know, they did it. I guess they did it in other like Amazing Race iterations, like in Australia or one of the other ones. They did it, but not in the U.S. Never. All right. Well, I guess we can kind of start with episode 3 here. So we go from Munich to Italy. I guess, Goldberg, what do you think about bringing back the private plane?
I'm not a fan.
Yeah.
At all.
It like takes away the airport drama, you know?
I don't know if either one of you. I mean, somebody mentioned this on Twitter to Phil, to the host, and he actually responded that they did either one of you see that? Somebody complained that they were upset about the private plane, and he's still blaming COVID. He said it's still a COVID thing.
Oh wow.
Well, yeah, he said we either have a private plane or we don't have a season. So.
I didn't like how they split the teams up again. Where like, okay, we're gonna take, each team's gonna leave. We're gonna do three teams of 3. Ready? Go. I didn't like that.
Yeah, that's not great. It's really not great at all. But I mean, it is what it is.
Right.
So, anyways, starting off the episode, teams departed from Sanctuary of the Madonna di San Luca based on the order that they completed the previous leg. The first group of teams departed at 9:30 a.m., while the second and third groups of 4 teams departed at 9:45 a.m. and 10 a.m., respectively. They drove to Bologna, Italy, and we had the first detour was a choice between head of the class or the big cheese. In head of the class, teams had to listen to an anatomy class from a 16th century lecturer, then take an exam where they had to identify 16 bones, muscles, and organs within 90 seconds to receive their next clue. In the big cheese, teams had to use a cart to transport an 88-pound wheel of Parmesan to Ristorante Diana, where a professional cheese cutter would slice the cheese in half. Teams then deliver a half to Restaurant Diana and the other half to Osteria del Capello. At each place, teams had to collect a receipt and return to Formageria Barbieri with the 2 receipts to receive their next clue. Goldberg, let's start with you because you have not been on the show for a while. What task are you choosing?
I mean, I'm definitely going to choose the more physical task. If it was my choice, I would choose the cheese thing. But having said that, I don't think it would have taken me and my partner more than 2, maybe 3 at the most, go around with the bones thing. I didn't think either one was really that difficult, but people really struggled with the bones, and probably because they didn't know at first that there were 2 leftovers. So I guess that can be kind of tricky. Didn't trick the Asian sisters. Is that what we're calling them, or what's our name for them?
Yep, that's what we're calling.
Yeah.
Twins.
Okay, twins. Yeah, that's probably better. But yeah, it didn't really fool them. But yeah, I would go with the cheese. I mean, just because you kind of know what you have to do there. We saw how much people struggled with the bones. So.
Yeah, I agree.
The father-daughter, right, struggled the most, I think, right?
They struggled quite a lot, but I mean, let's talk about Glenda and Lumumba.
Oh boy, La Bamba and Lumumba. Boy, did they struggle.
Yeah. So the thing about them is I actually had them ranked number 1 after their really strong, weeks. And, but whoa, they're definitely going to go down this week in my power rankings. That's for sure. But not
Albert,
reading their clue.
Do you know which one's Glenda and which one's La Bamba?
So Glenda's the woman, and La Bamba guy.
All right, you passed. You passed the test.
Yep. Although every time we say La Bamba, one of us ends up singing La Bamba at some point. I would have done head of the class. Now you're right. Both of you are right. It's probably easier to do the cheese because you got the professional cutting it, plus it's got a cart going with it. But I would be afraid that I might lose the receipt or receipts on the way to getting my clue. And I mean the diagram is kind of labeled. It has all the parts. You just got to match the name of the body part.
Yeah, well, plus the and I believe it was Glenda and Lumumba, how they said the accent was so thick they could barely understand.
Right.
I mean, obviously you wouldn't know that going in, or you wouldn't think of it probably. But
they seem to be the only ones that really struggled with the language barrier, though.
That's true.
Right.
I mean, I probably would have done the cheese. I would have done the cheese.
I mean, they had one of the worst episodes I've ever seen a team have. Let's just want to put that out there.
It was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. I mean, not reading your clue, and then they're walking all over the town. I mean, I'm shocked that they were able to catch up to even one other team. But I mean, Rich and Dom are so bad that Dom's super dramatic. She calls herself a fairy.
Goldberg, which one's Rich and which one's Dom?
Dom is the fairy princess with pink hair, and Dom is the guy. Which it took some confidence boosting from her to like assist the other teams in like giving your partner when they were building the motorcycle. And I'm jumping a little ahead, but when they're building the motorcycle, like you can't just say it and speak it into existence. You got to feel it from the top of your head to the tips of your toe. So I'm with Pearls now. She's really annoying. I don't really like her. But yeah.
Yep, that's the team that I'm like that's like the only team I really dislike at this point.
I don't think you'll have to deal with them much longer.
No. I think you're right on that.
If she didn't have that hair, would they be cast on this show?
Yeah, that's a good question.
I mean, when they sent their picture, that had to draw the producers in. Like that's the only reason they were. Other than that, they're just another boring couple.
Yeah, another boring couple and another team from California, which there's like over half the teams on this were from California. It seemed. Yeah, I did a little shoot on that episode 1, so check that out. But anyway, yeah, I don't know, just not feeling them. Calbert, why don't I mean, were you or not Calbert? I mean, Goldberg, were you happy with Derek and Claire choosing the cheese task? Goldberg.
Oh, I'm sorry. I lost you for a second. Go ahead.
I was just saying, were you happy with Derek and Claire doing the cheese task?
Oh, yeah. I mean, absolutely. I mean, Derek and Claire right now are probably I think the only team that really, I mean, how many teams would you say right now that like, they're kind of flying by and haven't really had a problem yet?
See, I don't know if I have an upper echelon yet.
That's right. That's what I'm trying to say is like, there's usually a group of 3, maybe 4 that you're like, okay, these guys, they're going, I mean, they're going to get pretty far to the end.
Right.
You don't see that here. Like anyone, like look at what just happened to Glumumba. I mean, they went from second to last in a fucking half a day. So
yeah. Right. Yeah, that's the thing. That's why I'm not like super impressed. Like you even have Marcus and Michael, the brothers, last week struggle on the bells.
Right.
And they struggled in the first episode with directions. And then you got, Derek and Claire. Claire seems to have some issues with doing roadblocks. Like they're a good team.
Yeah, but I never felt like she did have an issue with the motorcycle thing too. But like, I never really felt like, oh man, like something's gonna go wrong here, and they could end up in last, like Glenda and Lumumba did. Like, it doesn't surprise me. I get it, you had them first because they had such a good leg, but are either one of you that surprised that they struggled and like fell to like last like that quickly?
No, because that's why we do the power rankings. They change.
Right.
They change
Right.
every week. Like, so I'll use my team as the example. The week before
Shit.
last
Wait,
week,
I don't know who either one of you picked.
so I took Luis and Michelle. So the week before, I had them. I had my own team at like 10. So because they didn't have a really good week. Last week I had them at 5. So, I mean, which is oddly enough where they finished. So, it changes.
Right.
Just because you have a good week one week doesn't mean you're gonna have a good week the following week. I mean, we talk about that kind of all the time. Usually, especially in the beginning.
Yeah. Calvert picked Lisa Michelle. I picked Abby and Will.
What made you go with Abby and Will?
They're super fans.
Oh, okay.
Super fans of
Abby.
the show. However, I have noticed like they barely get any screen time. If you've noticed, they barely get any screen time.
That may be good though. That's probably a good thing.
Yeah, maybe they're focusing on the teams that are probably gonna be eliminated quicker.
Exactly.
Yeah, it could go either way. There's been winners, like winning teams that have barely gotten any screen time before.
Abby, I think Abby's going to be their demise at some point.
Yeah, she's not the most. She did okay on the yodeling challenge, but there's something like they don't seem like they're very quiet, and they almost kind of have that Apar and Apana, was that?
Mm-hmm.
They kind of have that where they're like kind of lackadaisical.
Right.
Like they're kind of just ho hum. Like they don't have that real like go get 'em attitude kind of. So I'm a little nervous on that, but I don't know. We'll see because we don't really have any official like place standings right now because we're in the middle of a leg still. But they did improve from week 1 to week 2, so that at least kind of made me feel good. But I said I have them like directly in the middle right now, so and I have no reason to change it. So, Calbert, why don't you talk about Luis and Michelle doing the cheese challenge?
Which was smart, and they crushed it. They really did. They crushed the crap out of that thing when they needed to.
Luis did.
Yeah, that's true. Luis did.
Yeah,
because they were smart about getting the cart. They got the cart almost instantaneously. So that was smart to do that. And I knew, because you knew, or at least I know. I know at least in the 3 weeks in, my team isn't necessarily the brightest bulb in the bunch because they have trouble with directions and driving, which we didn't really touch on. Stick shift has struck again, and it only took 3 weeks. Some of these teams can drive the stick. Some of them cannot, and some of them really, really struggle with it.
How about Luis making Michelle get out of the car and push him backward?
Yes. Kind of causing a traffic jam in the process of doing that, too. But it didn't surprise me. I'm not. I should be more concerned because they didn't. It took them a little bit to build the bike, but I'm not. So they're doing okay. Like, and I thought, especially for, we kind of touched a little bit about Goldberg on this last week with Marcus and Michael. I would think, with being military people, that they have built stuff all the time. But they
we're not there yet.
Oh, okay.
I just want to talk about Abby and Will real quick, and then Lynn and Jeffrey about the detour.
Yep.
So Abby and Will, they got on their second try. There really wasn't too much to say about it. Like, they missed the first try, got the second try. Whatever. It is what it is. But Lynn and Sharik, do we have now? They were pretty high rated in the last 2 power rankings. Are we starting to see some cracks for them with this team? I mean, it took them forever to finish the detour.
No, I don't know. I just don't. Bones are hard. Like, that's why they have a song about it, right? I'm looking for that meme later on for our rankings for this podcast for next week. Some people just struggle with it. Like, I was surprised. I was honestly surprised they stuck with it as much as they did.
All right. And any final comments with the detour? Anything you guys want to touch on about the detour?
I think we're good.
Yeah. One last thing. Did you guys like how the judge at the end, when it was between Rich and Dom and Glenda and Lumumba, do you like how he kind of psyched them out and then gave the clue to Glenda and Lumumba and then almost made it seem like Rich and Dom got it wrong? Did you guys like that?
I thought I laughed at that part.
Yeah. I would be so pissed though if I was Rich and Dom and this guy's just messing with us. I'm like, okay, just give me my darn clue, I know it's only 2 seconds, but still. Just if we won, we won,
Right.
We're wasting time doing this. But anyway, it was funny though. I will say that. It was good television. I just know that if I was actually playing the game, I would be upset.
Sure.
So all right, well let's move on to the roadblock. In this leg's first roadblock, one team member had to attach wheels, brakes, and body panels to a Ducati Panigale V4. Panigale? I'm not a car person, so probably butchering that. A Ducati Panigale V4 motorcycle to receive their next clue from the lead mechanic. So, we can kind of go over this here. It kind of seemed like Marcus and Michael. This one was weird because Michael said he's good with cars, but he's not. Or he likes cars, but he thought Marcus would be better because he's better at attention to detail. So now, Calbert, why don't you discuss where you were going before with it?
Oh yeah, so that's the thing. If you're good with cars, this should be simple. Which that's the thing. There were some people that struggled with. Marcus and Michael didn't struggle with this part, but some people struggled with putting the tire on, and then checking the brake, and then checking the tire that it's on correctly. And luckily they had they had a lead at this point, but the attention to detail of making sure that the screws are on.
Yeah.
For the that's important. The bike has to be able to stop not only with the tire, but and the wheel being on, but the rest of the stuff. And missing a screw, which they did, could have been very, very costly. Now it didn't end up costing them a whole lot, but that's a mistake. And if you're so attention to detail, I'm not a car guy either, but making sure that the screws are on properly and they're tight enough, that's important. So go ahead.
Yeah, there seemed to be some part where you had to be almost precise with the attachment on the front panels. You almost had to close them at exactly the right time before they were snap into place. I'm sure we've all put together something there where something was sort of like that. Goldberg, did you like the fact that Claire did this task, or do you think Derek should have done it?
No, and I was thinking that while I was watching it, and I started noticing all the teams come in. That to me, that's a guy's challenge. A guy should have been doing that, but Derek is not the manliest of men, so maybe.
So I asked myself when she went to do it. Okay, you're making up for the yodeling challenge. Okay, I guess I can kind of see that if I look at it from a different angle. But this is totally a guy's challenge. Even if you're not mechanically inclined, which she's not, because she had trouble with the looked like a combination of a screwdriver plus a drill type deal, right? So that's at some point he's going to have to, because the rules state that he's going to have to start doing some challenges. She can't do them all.
Yeah.
So that was my thought. I was like, why isn't he doing that? He should be doing even if
if I'm him in that situation and she's in the chat, I would be embarrassed to even be jumping up and down and cheering her on.
Right.
At that point, I'm just keeping my mouth shut out of sheer embarrassment. That I'm not performing the task and she is.
Right.
And he's sitting there like she was struggling at one point, and he's like, "Ah, man, she's struggling. She's having a hard time." Like, buddy, you should be the one doing it. What do you? You can't be upset that she's struggling.
Sure,
it's your own fault.
Right.
Did anyone cringe when Derek comes to the roadblock and sees Michael, and he's like, "Michael,
yes.
What's up, my brother?" I'm like, "Oh my gosh!"
It was at that moment I almost texted you to change my pick.
I mean,
it was cringe. It was bizarre. It was
very much.
I don't know. It was very weird.
Is this guy, this Derek X guy, is this guy over? Like, in a wrestling term, I use the word over. Is this guy like? Do people actually think this guy's got a good character, or do they like it?
I don't understand how. So he didn't last very long on the challenge, so I didn't really get to see him that much. But like, based on how much I saw him on the challenge and what I'm seeing of him now, I don't understand how this guy keeps getting cast in reality shows.
I mean, this guy's cringy. He's cringy, and he's not even like, he's annoying. It's like, go away, just go away heat. It's not good heat. Yeah. It's go away heat.
Right.
He's the Young Bucks. Yeah.
Yeah, the Young Bucks of the Amazing Race. I mean, I don't understand this. Like, why is this guy like getting casted left and right? I feel like we could get a better heel than him if that's what they want him to play.
If I'm Marcus in that situation, or whoever the hell he tried to hug, I don't know how I would have taken that.
I was embarrassed watching the TV, and I normally don't get that.
You had secondhand embarrassment.
Yes. Yeah. Calvert, go ahead.
Especially how serious Marcus and Michael were taking it at that point.
Right.
Because at that point they were by themselves. They were all alone.
Yeah, they had been there. They had already been there, right?
Yeah, I understand from Derek's side of the fence, like, why he did it. Hey, there's actually somebody here. What's up? How you doing?
Yeah, that's not what he said. That's not what he said.
Does Derek say that?
Yeah.
Does Derek, let's say we're on the Amazing Race, does Derek say that to us?
Yeah, right.
Because I don't think he's saying that to us.
Right.
Oh. Okay.
Yep, that's what I'm saying. That's why it was cringy.
You went there. Okay.
I did. I honestly do. I think he's thinking he's I don't know, trying to be cool, know.
Yep.
But whatever. It was cringe. It was absolutely cringe, Goldberg.
Interesting. So you think if Will was standing there, he would not have said that?
No. Huh. Nope.
Interesting.
Do you think he would have? Wait, do you think he would have?
I think
I think he's just that gay, man. I don't think it was I think he's just weird.
Yeah.
So what's up, my brother? To even to Will.
Yeah. I think he's cringe. I think he's that cringe.
And I'm not even trying to be a virtue signaler or any of that, but come on, man, that was.
Normally I'm with you. On those things, but I think he's just that weird.
Okay. All right. I'll take your word. Take your word. The second-hand embarrassment was real. Let's just put it that way.
I agree with you on
that. Calvert, let's go with you. Luis does the challenge. You believe that obviously was the right pick.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because my team is already established. If it's not a dance challenge,
then he's not using it.
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm just saying, like, if it's not a dance challenge, then obviously Michelle's not being used, correct?
Correct. Yeah. Exactly right. And that makes sense. Like, that's the thing. Like, we kind of found out that, like, there are some people that either worked on cars or like are actual like mechanics, which is why I thought it was interesting. Some of them struggled with it as much as they did. That's kind of because it's not a car, but like wheels are wheels and screws are screws. Right. So, I mean, that part's universal. So,
yeah,
I did think that was interesting. So,
Well, I thought Luis did a heck of a job. I think it just kind of, I mean, he didn't do it like super, super fast, but he didn't really have that much problems with it either.
Right.
It took a while for the guys to understand how the wheel spins. They got to put in the clutch, and that's how you get the wheel to spin. I mean, it took a few teams to get that. But I also want to just call you guys out for stopping me about Derek. I mean, do you know how many people you guys offended when you said the guy should do this car challenge? Goldberg? Can you just see the seething from a particular female listener listening to
Well,
this?
there's only 2 females listening right now, if they ever were, that have a point there, and it would be the Asian sisters.
Okay. Yes. Let's talk about them.
Because they stole this episode. They stole the show this episode.
Yeah. And be honest, where would you have had them pre-ranked? Would you have had them towards the end?
Yeah. Only because one, like, they're not young per se. They're not old, but they're not young, and they're not really in shape either.
Correct.
So that would be the only reason. However, let's not kid ourselves. We all know Asians are very smart. I mean, I'm not even trying to be like.
That's why they did the bone. That's exactly why they did bones.
And they knocked it out on the first one, and they're smart enough to figure out the motorcycle thing, even though they knew nothing about it.
Right.
She took her time. She watched the tutorial and just aced it. Almost like she did the lecture too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're exactly right. I think if there's an MVP team for this episode, it's definitely them.
Oh, there's not even a single doubt. They were the best team by far this episode, and I actually think a second most impressive this episode is Luis. Like we were just talking about. I mean, he carried the team the whole episode.
Yeah,
Luis did everything.
Luis did really well.
And he's got a great disposition about him, Luis. You know, he's always smiling, he's always happy. Yeah. And he's a good performer. So.
Well, I kind of figured Aubrey and David would do well because David's a helicopter mechanic. So, I mean, David working on this, I thought he did pretty solid on this one. They did pretty good at the lecture, not like aced it, but they did pretty good. And the other thing about Emily and Molly that I want to bring up, I believe one of them works in a hospital.
Mm-hmm.
So they kind of already knew, the lecture pretty well. I think they got it on their first try easily. And so just wanted to bring that little tidbit up. With this one, I guess I'll talk about my team, Abby and Will. I thought Will kind of struggled a little bit on the car. It didn't take them like ridiculously long, but I think they lost a couple spots.
It was interesting that they tried, like, there were some teams that were like asking the demonstrator, like, how he was doing certain things, which of course the demonstrator is not going to say anything, A, because he can't,
right.
but B, I mean, it really isn't rocket science. I would struggle with this just because of the tire alone, but like if I were physically, but like you can't ask him. Like, it's building a motorcycle. You have to see it before you go, okay, I get it. I think I understand.
Yeah. Yeah, that wasn't too good. Also, I believe it was Quentin and Maddie. Quentin couldn't figure out how to spin. He kind of finally figured out how to spin the tire as well. So he took a little bit of time to get that correctly. But I think the one team, the final, before we wrap this episode up and kind of give our power rankings, Linton and Sharik really struggled this episode. If it wasn't for Glenda and Lumumba's failure, I think they would have been the least MVP of the episode. But Linton Sharik really derailing pretty quickly. And from the looks for next week, it doesn't seem like it's going to get any better. But any thoughts on Linton and Sharik?
Hold that thought. Because we know from the preview that Dom struggles with the particular challenge in particular. for next week.
Well, you are correct. I still think Linton and Sharik should be okay. It made to look like Linton and Sharik just have a total meltdown, but obviously you got Rich and Dom still there. But honestly, though, I thought Rich did okay once he got to the roadblock. It seemed like he did pretty well. He's obviously the better of the two from this team. But Lumumba, I liked his one-liner where he basically said, I don't know much about cars or motorcycles, but I do know how to follow directions. So,
right.
That guy's a character. He's starting to grow on me.
What an odd couple.
Yeah, right? You don't see that much.
Wow.
You don't see it much. All right, so that's pretty much where the episode left off. Do you guys have any final comments about the roadblock that you want to address? Because I mean, I had my only one thing I had to get out with Derek, but other than that,
I'm glad you mentioned that.
Yeah, I couldn't help it. All right, so let's rate this episode. Calbert, what are you giving this out of a 10?
I gave it a 6. So it's not one of the better ones, but you can't always hit a home run. I did think it was kind of cool with the actual cutting of the cheese. That was kind of fun to kind of see.
Yes.
And like even just building the motorcycles, like I don't know much about motorcycles or cars either, but like that's just cool. Like they're building a motorcycle, so yeah, that's cool.
Yep. Goldberg, what would you rate this episode?
Yeah, I'm on the same wavelength as Calbert there. I was gonna say 6 also, so I'll go with a 6 out of 10. I mean, it just seemed like I don't know, like Calbert said, you can't hit them all out of the park. So
yeah, I'm going to 6 as well. I know it's kind of a cop out, but really it is a standard 6. It wasn't like the worst Amazing Race episode I've ever seen, but it really wasn't too exciting. And I know the problem is it's half a leg really, and we didn't really get a satisfying elimination. We had drama, but not a ton of drama. So, all right,
was that
let's
episode an hour or an hour and a half?
So it was only an hour this past week.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
And for some reason, episode 2 was an hour and a half, but this one was only an hour. So, all right, let's do our power rankings. Let's go Goldberg. Who's your number 10?
Rich and Dom.
Okay. Calbert, number 10.
It's Rich and Dom. I don't really have a whole lot to change from last week to this week because it's not an elimination. So
correct. There's not going to be a ton of changes. I'm going to bump up a couple teams though. Yeah, I got Rich and Dom as well. I've been shooting on them pretty much since week 1. I'm still shooting on them. However, I think if they want to at least survive another week, they got to give the ball to Rich.
Yeah.
Stop letting Dom take all the shots. I think Rich has got to step up and get. He's gonna have to score 35 points for this team to go further. So that's my thoughts on this team. Goldberg, number 8.
I'm sorry,
number 9. I skipped 9. Who's number 9?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Linton and Sharik, the father and daughter. Yeah, I'm with you, Hurls. They really struggled this week, and I think that's their true colors. And I don't see them going anywhere but down from here.
Mm-hmm. Calbert, who's your number 9?
I have Quentin and Maddie at 9, just because Quentin struggled with the tires so much. It's not good. Hey, they didn't get lost. They went to the right part of the part they were supposed to go as far as the country goes, so they got that goal for them. But yeah, I have Quentin and Maddie at 9.
Okay. I actually have at number 9, I got Aubrey and David. I still David really did well with the, motorcycle challenge, but this team really isn't impressing me much. Like, they're kind of in the background a lot. And I don't know. There's just something I'm not sold on them really yet. So I got them at 9. I haven't really been sold on them as of yet at all. So I got them at 9. So maybe they'll move up for me, but right now I got to keep them at 9. All right, Goldberg, number 8.
I mean, for me, it's gonna be way different than you guys because I'm kind of hopping in. These are my first power rankings, so I'm kind of going based on the episode we just watched. So I'm gonna put Glenda and La Bamba there, or whatever their name is, whatever his name.
Oh wow,
that's fine.
I mean, at the end of the day, they're in 9th place right now, are they not?
Yeah, I think so. I think they are. Yeah, I can't remember who left. I can't. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, they are at 9th. I guess. So, yeah, 8's not bad. I guess if you're going by that logic. Calbert, number 8.
Afraid I've David. So
Okay.
Small change, but not much.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing fine for what they're doing.
Yeah. Number 8, I have actually. Yeah, this is really tough. I'm looking at this. I don't want to dock anybody down too far from last week, but all right, I guess I'll go Quentin and Maddie. But I'm actually a lot higher on them than you are, Albert.
Mm-hmm.
I think they do have. They're very. If they can get the directions correct, they're a lot more athletic. So I think they can do better on those type of challenges. So, all right, Goldberg, number 7.
Number 7, I'm gonna go with. Yeah, I think I'll go with Quentin and Maddie. Quentin has got the longest arms I think I've ever seen.
May come into play at some point.
I mean, if that guy had athleticism, well.
So Goldberg, would you say he's the Victor Wembanyama?
That or I every time I see long arms, I always think of Tayshaun Prince, but
that's a good one.
That works.
Yep. Calbert, number 7 for you.
Number 7, I have Abby and Will, which is your team.
Mm-hmm.
Not.
Damn,
they're fine, even though they're not getting a lot of screen time. They're kind of like Aubrey and David. They're doing fine. So.
Yeah, there's not really much to say about them because I also have them at 7. I was kind of like in between with them and Luis and Michelle, but I got Abby and Will as well. There's just not a lot of screen time. Not really anything to make me put them higher. I'm moving them one place lower this week only because Luis and Michelle passed them. So, Goldberg, number 6.
I'm gonna go with David. They're just there. They're just.
Yeah. Yeah. Goldberg, you're breaking up a little bit.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah. Well, there's not much. Yeah, I can hear you now. I mean, I heard you say they're just there, which I agree. They're kind of like Abby and Will a little bit. They just did a little bit better. Calbert, number 6.
Number 6, I have Lynn and Sharik this week, which is a small drop off from last week. I had them 3 last week, so I have them at 6 this week. They just struggled with the bones, and it took them a while. I don't know if it means anything, but I got them at 6.
Okay. For my number 6, I got Luis and Michelle. They had a pretty good week, but nothing to like super wow you. And obviously, we're not done with the leg yet, so definitely jump up. But they could also move down for me. So we'll see. But I got them at a healthy 6. Goldberg 5.
5. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Abby and Will. And the only reason I put them I guess, up there, and up to 5th is just out of respect for the fact that you picked them. I'm thinking you must know something I don't. I don't know.
Hey, it's not like I'm doing better than you.
Well, I mean, I am 2 for 2 in my first 2 seasons, but.
That's a very Lulu statement that you made there. Yeah, Calbert, who's your 5?
My number 5 is Emily and Molly. I like them this week. They did really, really well. They're really smart. It looks like they have no challenge is going to scare them.
Yeah, my number 5 is Emily and Molly. I bumped them up quite a bit this week, but I'm still not like 100% sold on them. I feel like the athleticism is going to take over at some point in one of these challenges.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I think like 5th is their ceiling to me. Feels like a 5th place is their ceiling. Like, so I got them at 5. Goldberg, number 4.
This is where it gets tough for me, but because like you were saying earlier, there's just no teams that are far and away better than anyone else. But I'm gonna go with Luis and Michelle at 4. And Luis, like I said, man, this guy, I don't think you're giving him enough credit for what he did this episode. He really shouldered the load.
Yeah, no, I mean he did. He had a really good episode. I
think Michelle is going to be their demise, though.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't know. Like I'm not. They got to pull together. They got to string together some more good weeks before
Well, like I said, it's hard. I'm going based. This is kind of my first jump into the rankings. So.
Okay, so Calbert.
4, I have Luis and Michelle, which is up 1 last week. So I had them 5 last week. I have them 4 this week. They're doing all right. I'm a little bit of concern because of driving ability and being a little bit navigational challenge. Luis crushed the motorcycle challenge. They crushed the cheese challenge. I don't know if they would have timed it. I'm gonna guess it probably took them maybe 25 minutes. All in all, like it was quick. So I got them at 4.
All right. My number 4 is Linton and Shariq. They've had a really solid run until this episode, so I'm trying to not like play prisoner of the moment too much. But obviously they gotta go down. They're out of the top 3 for me now. Got them at 4, and they could spiral out fast, so they could keep going down for me if they continue this poor performance on the field. Yeah, I mean, there's really not much to say. They were very solid, but the cracks are definitely showing. So that's my number 4. Goldberg, number 3 for you.
I'm gonna go with Derek and Claire. I mean, Claire, like I kind of said about both your teams that Abby's gonna ruin your team and Michelle's gonna ruin your team, but Claire could certainly ruin my team. So that's why I'm gonna put them at number 3.
Okay, Calbert, number 3.
I have Marcus and Michael at 3. They did fine. They're a very good team as long as they don't get in their own way, which it seems like from the last week with the log coach and a little bit this week with the building of the motorcycle. As long as they don't get in each other's way, they're fine. But there are very, very, very small little cracks that are starting to kind of show up ever so slightly. They're also navigationally challenged, which is concerning. But they did everything they needed to do, so I got them at 3.
All right, my number 3, dropping from that number 1 spot, is Glenda and Lumumba. I'm docking them 2 points this week for having a really poor performance, but I still think they're a good team. Not gonna, like I said, not gonna play prisoner of the moment too much, so I'm gonna dock them to 3. But if they have another bad week, they could easily be my worst team going forward for next week. So we'll see if they can shake off the rust and bring a good leg this upcoming week. Goldberg, number 2.
What's Marcus? What's his partner's name?
Marcus Michael.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with them, number 2. Only because, I mean, they didn't really blow me away per se. This kind of really overall, but especially this last episode. Even though I think they came out first and they finished first, right? Like, weren't they first the whole episode?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I mean, to me, like, it wasn't overly impressive, and it kind of struggled at the motorcycle, but they did what they had to do. They got the job done. So I have them at number 2.
Talbert, number 2.
So 2, I have Glenda and Lambamba. That's not a change from last week. Yes, they struggled with anatomy and doing the bones, but
reading the clue.
And reading the clue.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm also trying not to be prisoner at the moment. They did okay with building the bike once they kind of figured out what they needed to do. So, like, the fact that Lambamba, this is like, I thought, at least for Lambamba, like, the fact that he's short, helpful in this particular case, because that bike isn't too terribly tall. So it's easier to get to, to connect the nuts and the bolts and all that. So, yeah, but they're in trouble. I mean, we'll see. Like, we don't know, so we'll see. But yeah, not a great start, but it's also, what's the saying, right? It's not how you start, it's how you finish. So
right, they're gonna have to figure out a way to pass a couple teams. Well, at least Rich and
yeah, sure.
Yeah. So I mean, they're not terribly far behind right now. So
right,
and they could easily get like 4th or 5th, I would think, if they have a solid second half of the leg. So.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
My number 2 is Derek and Claire. I don't think they're like a number 2 type team, as weird as that sounds. Like, to me, they're playing more like a 4 or a 5. But all the other teams are not impressive, so I got to put them at 2, just by kind of default. So I don't know. He's gonna have to keep saying "What's up, my brother?" a little bit more, and maybe that'll give him the chance to get up to 1. So, but right now, Claire struggled on 2 roadblocks. Hasn't really costed them too much, but they didn't really gain any ground either. So they're my number 2 team. All right, Goldberg, you're number 1.
Let me preface this one more time by saying I'm going based on the fact that this is my first power rankings, and I'm doing it based on this episode pretty much. I'm going with Molly and Emily, number 1. They blew it out of the wall. They were so impressive this episode. And I'm saying they, and I really don't know if each one performed. One of them knew the bones. I don't know if that's the same one that did the motorcycle, or if it was one of them. Does anyone know?
I honestly don't, because the standings aren't updated right on the page I'm looking for, because it's not the end of the leg.
But I mean, did one of them perform the? And one of them knew all the bones. Was that the same person that did the motorcycle, or was that the other one? I don't know.
I honestly can't tell you. I couldn't tell you. Talbert?
Well, either way,
yeah,
whether it was or it wasn't, they impressed the hell out of me this episode. So, and I mean, how does a super leg? I mean, right now they're ahead. They're in the front of the pack, are they not? Like, I mean, aren't Glenda and Lambamba in trouble right now?
Oh yeah, they're definitely in trouble. Yeah, they're at the bottom. Yeah, they're at the bottom.
They are in trouble. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
yeah.
I'm
gonna go with them.
Or what, like 2nd or 3rd right now?
Yes.
Yeah, I think the 3rd.
Yeah, they're 3rd as today.
So yeah, going from 7th place to up to 3rd. That's a nice jump right there. So,
you know what? Are they 3rd? They might be 2nd.
They could be, because I don't think Derek and Claire
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. You're right.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, they were fucking impressive, man.
Yeah.
They that's the thing. They crushed the motorcycle, and they did it so quietly. It's kind of like playing a person in chess. She goes,
Right.
"Yep, I got it," and then she went and did it.
Yeah, and just did it super quick. Calbert, who's your number one?
My number one is Derek and Claire. I mean, Goldberg's exactly right. Like, Claire is going to be the reason why they don't win this thing, because, as we know, lefty loosey, righty tighty, which she eventually figured out. Derek has got to freaking step up and start doing some challenges. He's got to do a roadblock. He's gonna have to do a detour at some point. So, okay, cool. You have made up for messing up the yodeling the week before. Okay, you don't have to do anything this week. Make Derek do both. We'll see. But yeah, I'm also trying not to be prisoner of the moment also. But yeah, until we know, I got them at 1. So.
I mean, this guy's like the Weeder Eula of CBS. Like, they're giving him a huge push, but it's kind of not getting a huge reaction. He's the Austin Theory of CBS, like
right.
The rockets are on the back, but there's not a lot of fuel there. So I don't know. I honestly seen this guy say quite a few cringy things so far. So, but you know what? You have to put him at 2. That's the thing. I don't want to put him at 2, but I have to. But my number one this week is going to go to Marcus and Michael. They definitely deserved it. I mean, they're a really solid team. And if it wasn't for that hiccup they had in episode 1, I think they'd have 3 number ones right now. I know this is not technically a finish, but this team's looking pretty solid. They're looking pretty solid. But once again, you could also say they've struggled in each episode. So
they're the obligatory two male team that's going to dominate pretty much the whole season.
Yes, but then they're going to fizzle out, though.
Yeah, I agree.
I think they could definitely fizzle.
Yeah.
I mean, those male teams, sometimes they just, I don't know, something goes off the tracks, as you saw it last season.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it is, but I feel like there's a lot of cracks already, but they're a very solid team. But when it gets like down to the, 3-4 teams, it's just, I don't know. It's going to be tougher for them, I think. But they're definitely my number one. So, all right, Calbert, why don't you tell us what we're in for episode 4?
Okay. Teams make their way to Florence, which is still in Italy, where they chisel out a sculpture from a large block of plaster and crash a fashion photo shoot. So that's what they have to look forward to. And Dom is probably still crying from the preview, I'm sure.
So the 2 teams to look out for are definitely Rich and Dom and Linton and Sharik.
Mm-hmm.
That she wants to quit. But I feel like that is going to be our swerve. We're going to call it the Amazing Race swerve, where they want you to think that they're in trouble, but they're not.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
I've had enough. I'm done.
Yeah.
And then watch
the oldest editing trick in the book.
Yep. And Rich and Dom will be the one that's actually legit.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I'm with you on that. All right. That's episode 3. Any final comments before we sign out of here?
I got a question for you guys real quick. Who I know who we all picked, but who are you rooting for if we didn't have our picks on the line?
Go ahead.
Oh yeah, Calvert, why don't you go first?
If I didn't have my pick, I'd probably go Marcus and Michael.
Why?
I just like them as a team, even though they're brothers and they bicker and they're navigationally challenged, which still boggles my mind, being military people. But that's who I'm actually quietly rooting for, other than Luis and Michelle, right? So if Luis and Michelle can't win it, I'd be fine if Marcus and Michael won it. Type deal. So
for me, the rooting team was definitely Tim T-Rex. But now that they're out, I'd probably Glenda and Lumumba.
Oh, okay.
I like Lumumba.
Okay.
This has to be one. This has to be one of the least interesting and least likable casts in a long time.
Yeah, I agree. I think the cast was a little lazy this year, but that's just me.
I don't know about you guys, but I would be rooting for Molly and Emily. Well, I do know about you guys. You just told me who you're rooting for, but I don't know how you can't root for these two. I mean, I get it. They're not lookers, but come on. Their story alone, the fact that they reunited lost twin sisters and the way they performed this episode is just so smart. I just, I respect it. Usually I root for the hotties, but not this time.
Well, you could have picked them.
but I'm basing it on this episode.
No, I'm just messing with you.
I mean, yeah, the story is crazy. Honestly, it's got to be one of the craziest stories to ever hear about. But are you really that impressed with them, though?
I was that episode, man. They killed it.
They did, but what about episodes 1 and 2?
I'm living in the moment.
What have you done for me lately, kind of guy?
Yeah, I'm gonna live in the moment because this is the Amazing Race. So, I mean, if you could be on top one episode, next episode your ass is grass and you're out. So, right now, they look pretty fucking good.
I can't say anymore. Yeah.
Nope.
Wow. Goldberg, you got any other questions? Because I feel like you have another one you want to ask.
What is this, a setup?
No, but I feel like I always try to cut you off too quick, so I feel like you always have one other one in the bag.
I don't think so. Nothing I can think of right now.
All right. Well, if you think of one, bring it to episode 4 recap. So.
Okay.
All right. And that'll be our review for this week. We will see you next week. Peace out.
Have a good night, everybody.